Playing. Hello, I'm Mitch.
And I'm Todd.
And we are the Grizzled Geeks. This week we talk about
Android TV boxes,
Tesla's new solar roof,
Netflix's Black Mirror Episode 1,
Uwe Boll will stop screwing up movies for us. Thanks.
the new Wonder Woman trailer,
And Sony announces third-party controllers.
All right. One take. One take. That's all it took.
Yeah.
Nice.
Just rocking this time. Almost like we know what we're doing. But anyway, so you've been looking to either replace an internet TV type box or add another one to your house. I'm not sure which one it is or if it's both. And you tried out Android TV box this past week. You want to talk a little bit about it?
I do. I will share my experience. So I've been using in the upper back bedroom a Western Digital Play Live TV box, which does 1080p. And I pretty much use it just for Netflix, but it also has a USB port so I can play videos and things off of a USB. And I liked it a lot. And then a couple weeks ago, it seemed to die. And I thought, well, this is an opportunity. I've had this thing for a couple of years now. I paid $35 for it. It was great while it lasted. But there's a lot of new technology out there now. I could get a Roku 3. I could get a Chromecast, which you're a big fan of. There's a lot of things. But me, I'm, the woods diverged one day, and I always choose the lesser followed path. And I like the idea of, hey, Android TV box, because you get all the full functionality of an Android-based computer, kind of like a tablet. But the one that I was looking at, the next box, does 4K TV. So if you have an Ultra HD TV, you can hook it up and play Netflix in 4K. It had 2 USB ports. It had Bluetooth. It had a lot of features going for it. It had a quad-core processor, 2 gigs of RAM, and 8 gigs of flash memory inside for storing things. But also had a micro SD slot, so you could upgrade that, put a 32 gig or 64 gig flash drive in it and up your storage. So I was kind of excited by that. And along with that, I bought this handy dandy little QWERTY keyboard that also has a touchpad, because with the Android TV, you can get a cursor or mouse to show up, a mouse cursor, and you can mouse around, double tap to open up applications. I mainly wanted the QWERTY keyboard because when you go into Netflix and things like that, you have to enter in your username and password. And one thing I hated about the WD is I have a little up-down arrow selection. You've all done it. You've done it with a PlayStation and Xbox. When you get in there and you enter in your username and password, it's mouse over, select, mouse down to here, select this one, and then finally when you're all done, and then, you put the password in wrong, you get to start all over again. It can take you 15 minutes just to enter in that information. So with the handy-dandy little $20 Bluetooth QWERTY keyboard, it was a snap entering in username and password. So when the next box came in, I was startled by how small it was. It was very tiny, just basically big enough to support the connectors that it had on it. But I was very excited about it. I've been having some network problems lately, and I had put a network range extender up in the living room upstairs. And so because even with the Western Digital thing, it would not reach our wireless if it was on the other side of the TV. I would have to move it to this side of the dresser just to pick up the signal. So I thought, well, with the range extender being upstairs now, I should have a really good signal. And when I hooked the next box up and got in, I connected to the network, and I tried to launch some applications. I tried to launch YouTube. It finally, after waiting and waiting, I got in and it showed some categories. I clicked a category and you wait, and then finally some videos came up, and I clicked on a video, and it said, after waiting another 30 to 60 seconds, it comes up and goes, I can't play that video. I thought, all right, so I'm off to a bad experience so far. So I went over to Netflix, same thing, wait, and video finally comes up, and I selected the show we're going to talk about later, Black Mirror. And after waiting and waiting, finally it comes up. It's very pixelated, choppy, and you would keep getting the buffering thing. So I thought, all right, well, maybe it's the network. let's be fair, and let's run a 50-foot Ethernet cable from the living room all the way down the hallway into the bedroom and plug it in. I was a little sad to learn that my house is only 50 feet wide, basically. It was a little disappointing. But it made it back there, and I plugged it in, and the connectivity problems got better. I was able to get right into Netflix. I brought up Black Mirror, and it looked fantastic. So it started playing, and everything was going great until I got a little fancy and decided, let's fast forward. I started to fast forward, and it broke Netflix. The video wouldn't play. When I went back in the Netflix, the videos came up, they wouldn't play, any of them. So I went to Amazon and said, I'm going to be returning this device. Now, to be fair, when I got the box, the corner of the box was smashed because they shipped it in a brown envelope. But I didn't see any physical damage to the box itself. It was on the opposite corner from where the shipping box was damaged. I just didn't have a good experience with it. The worst experience I had was when I was on wireless at the time, and I went into the browser and tried to browse on the internet. I did a search for Lauren Cohan, a video search for Maggie from Walking Dead, and it reminded me of the AOL dial-up days. It was so slow. First, after like good 60 seconds, it starts to fill in little boxes. No pictures, just boxes. And then another 60 seconds, and now there's a picture. And so it was very, very slow, and I wasn't happy with the experience. So it got sent back. And I've actually been thinking about getting a octa-core, trying a different brand and trying another one, and seeing if I'd give it a second chance. Since I could not return the QWERTY keyboard because they were going to charge me $8 for shipping on a $20 device, so I decided to keep that. And so I pick up the Western Digital box, and I'm looking at the bottom, and it has a reset hole. I powered it back up. I stuck a pin in the reset hole. The box came back to life. It reset. I was able to enter all my information there again. So right now I don't need a TV box to replace that anymore. But I did get a chance to learn a little bit about the Android TV box, and it was nothing but a learning experience. I was interested in them, and I'm still kind of interested in them. Maybe I just had a bad experience. I've watched plenty of videos on them, and other people don't seem to have these problems.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of experience with Android TV boxes. I'm not sure how well they would be supported going forward if you're getting updates for the OS or security with them, which causes some concerns, or how well that support differs from something like a Roku, which is a little more a little better supported. And maybe the Roku doesn't meet all of your needs, being able to play external source movies or whatever you mentioned, having some local copies of movies that you've acquired over time, putting together your Plex server, for example. Although they've got a Plex app if you ever get your Plex server running again.
Like all things technology-wise, it worked once.
Sure. And that was kind of the reason why a while ago we ended up picking up a Chromecast, and I know the Chromecast may or may not meet your needs, but for what it is, it's really just a dumb receiver, and then any phone or device that's capable of casting to it over Wi-Fi can send your signal to it. So I've got the Chromecast set up on a TV in front of the treadmill where I run every morning before work, and that's how I watch TV. So I cast from my phone directly to that, and it's not perfect because I'm casting from an Android device. I don't get things like Amazon Prime. It's not a limitation of Chrome. If I had an Apple device, or if I were willing to install the Amazon store on my Android device and unblock third-party stores and apps and something like that, I could play it through there, but I don't trust them, so fuck them. All right, screw them.
And we just got explicit rating.
Yes.
Thanks.
Sorry. Maybe I feel a little bit strongly about that. But anyway, so I've had a lot of good experience with that. I actually over the last day and a half, I've been using the Chromecast. I pulled it in here on my main TV, and I've been watching the BlizzCon through the BlizzCon virtual ticket. Any Blizzard fans out there? And casting it from my computer here to right to my TV, and it has worked flawlessly. It looks like I'm watching, cable television, whatever. So I haven't had any problems with that. And like I said, I don't know if it necessarily meets your needs, but for $35, it's been great for me.
Yeah, I just realized I probably don't have anything to cast to it. That's my problem. I don't really have a viable laptop I could bring in there and cast with it.
Well, you don't have to have a laptop. Your phone could do it. Your tablet can do it. Android, iOS, I guess maybe the Windows Phone, if anybody had one, could do it. Laptops can do it. Different apps support casting. So Chrome has casting, the ability to cast built into it, which is how I was doing it. I was just casting the tab that I was playing on straight onto the TV and then going full screen, and it looked like I was watching television. So yeah, when you say you don't have anything to cast, that might not exactly be true, but you still might not be able to get to like your movies that you had on the from when you had your Plex server set up.
Yeah.
From your phone.
What about USB play? Well, I guess no, it is a USB, so it has no USB port, right?
So it's not USB. It plugs directly into an HDMI port, and then you have to have power going to it. It just goes to HDMI.
That's the one requirement I do have. But again, if the device I'm casting has USB port, then I can play from that. So it's probably not really a requirement. It's just a different way of doing it.
And the nice thing about that is pretty much any device can cast to it. So, I break my phone or lose my phone or upgrade my phone, capable of casting to it. And there's business as usual for me. But
so that's all I had on Android TV boxes. Do you want to move to the solar roof?
Sure. Yeah. So Tesla, I think it was last week or the week before. We missed streaming last week, so we're kind of catching up from articles from the last 2 weeks. Tesla had their event, and one of the things that they announced was their new solar rooftop panels. There we go. I got it out finally. And the neat thing about the panels that they showed off is a lot of people there at the event didn't notice that there were solar panels on the roof. They have them shaped like roof shingles and colored and textured that way to where they can cover the entire roof. They're silicone based, and they would go in and replace your existing shingles. And I thought that was an amazing idea. I don't know how well they hold up, wear and tear, but for a company like Tesla, who's kind of been in this business for a while, and now that they are merging or have merged with Solar City, who already does the solar panels anyway, it seems like a good fit for them.
Yeah, I'm just a huge fan. I saw those images and I was blown away by the quality. You hear Elon Musk talk about how they're made out of quartz, and I think they came with
quartz, not silicon.
Is it a lifetime warranty? Did they say? I thought they said something like a lifetime, which would make sense for the life of the house. If they're made of quartz, it should outlast the house.
The quote here is, "We expect this to have 2 or 3 times longevity of asphalt."
All right, so not necessarily a lifetime warranty, but if you replace your shingles every 15 years or so, talking 30 to 40 years, something like that, they should last. That's my life expectancy. So, for me, it's a lifetime warranty. So, I think it's amazing because I know people complain about solar panels. They're like, I'm not putting one of those ugly things on my roof. Well, now that argument is removed from the con category.
Right, and as these things just naturally blend in, that aesthetic reasons just go away. So yeah, you hit that one right on. And yeah, it was quartz, like you said, not silicone. Silicon. Can't make up my mind.
Now, if they use ruby quartz, they also would be impenetrable to Cyclops' optic blasts.
There you go. Benefits.
That's right. So Jason Marsden can finally get that skylight he's been wanting to get, and not have to worry about punching a hole through it.
Yeah. So
I say Jason Marsden. I meant to say James Marsden if I did.
Yeah, you said Jason, but give you.
Oh, that was the other category I wanted to add this week that I didn't. Well, maybe later when we get to TV, we can talk a little bit about Westworld from last week.
Yeah, that's right. I did see. Yeah, I've seen last week's, so we should be good to that. To do that if you want. Maybe save that towards the end if we have time.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. So. Yeah, that was the big thing from the Tesla event. They also mentioned a new power pack, which is a commercial battery pack that they had that doubled capacity over the previous one and simplified things. They added some of the components directly into it. A new inverter, apparently. To make the installation process simpler for third parties, there are less things that they need to integrate with, so the interface is simpler. So yeah, I'm really interested in the things that Tesla are doing. I wish that I could afford more of them. I'd love an electric car, but hopefully the new Tesla will get things back into reasonable price ranges. I'd love solar powered, home, these power walls for inside of your house, the solar panels on top of your roof, and maybe someday I'll get one of them.
Yeah, that would be nice. I'd like to too. I'm just such a fan of Elon Musk. I like everything he does. If he ever makes broccoli, then I can. My wife will be happy. I'll finally start eating broccoli. But I'm waiting for Elon Musk to make broccoli. So.
Well, maybe he'll make it on Mars and have to travel there to get it. I hear that he's got a fleet of ships coming soon to take you there to get that delicious broccoli.
So I can finally get my ass to Mars and eat broccoli. All right. You want to move on to speaking of weird and strange? Do you want to move on to the Black Mirror episode 1?
It's almost like science fiction, except that Elon Musk is making it a reality.
Yeah.
So yeah, Black Mirror, on the other hand, is the technology. What if we just don't pay super close attention and think about the consequences of what we're about to do? So yeah, we both watched the first episode of Black Mirror, and you've watched it most recently. Why don't you talk about your thoughts? And we can just go back and forth.
All right. So Bryce Dallas Howard, of course, Ron Howard's daughter, big fan of her. I love her work. And she is fantastic in this role. She's perfect casting choice to play the character in that episode. It's a future where people have augmented reality lenses in their eyes that enables them to, when they see people on the street, see what their rating is. And when every time you have an interaction with somebody, you bring up your phone and you give them 1 to 5 stars or 1 to 5 hearts.
How superficial did you think that was? That was terrible. I died inside every time I saw somebody do that. When she did that and she made that face like, ying, and everyone doing it to each other. I cringed every single time they did it. And so I wouldn't classify myself as antisocial. I think that putting this on the internet maybe disqualifies that label. Maybe it just makes it worse. I don't know. Whatever.
How many likes do we have now, Mitch? How many?
I don't care. I almost gave it the second chance for an explicit tag. But yeah, I don't have a Facebook account. I had one, but the things that people said to each other on there, mostly my family, were terrible, and I deleted it because of it. I may eventually get one back there. I just don't know that I will invite the same people to be in my inner circle of friends. Uh, and maybe that's the way to do it. It seems like Facebook's where some of that stuff is. You know, my wife uses that kind of stuff more than I do, but whatever.
Yeah, with Facebook, and I like Facebook for a lot of things. I think the one time you should delete all your Facebook accounts or just not go in there is during an election year, because I think you lose a lot of friends. It is so political, and people start getting so nasty going back and forth. I'm like, these are your friends and your neighbors that you're doing this with, and
well, that nastiness is what caused me to delete my Facebook account, and it kind of struck a chord with me when watching the first episode of Black Mirror, when she started to run into trouble with things, where she started getting voted down, and all of a sudden she was looked down upon by other people, and it was this mob mentality of the farther down she got, the worse people treated her. And then they started expanding that out a little bit, and they were like, "Oh, I'm sorry, this plane's only reserved for 4.2s and above. You're 4.1. Now you're a 3.1, and you get double damage." Those kinds of things. And I'm sorry for anyone who is watching this, all one of you, and haven't seen Black Mirror episode 1, season 3, episode 1 yet. We've just spoiled the whole thing for you, or we're about to. But we're just going to through it.
It's coming from the name of the episode, Nosedive.
Right.
And so, in order for something to happen, as much as they cherish their ratings, that in order for the plot to move forward, something has to happen to this precious rating system, or to somebody's rating. So it sets that up. And, one of the ironies I find in this movie, or one of the things that this reminded me of in real life, a parallel, when before I went back to school and got my 4-year degree, I worked in the workforce with both no degree, a 2-year degree, and a 4-year degree. Education and degrees are treated exactly like the rating systems are in this show. I've seen people discriminated against, made fun of behind their back by other people who had 4-year degrees when somebody would leave the room who didn't have a 4-year degree in the workplace. I've saw all that petty behavior when I was younger and I even saw it in institutionalized discrimination on federal contracts, where you couldn't be a project manager no matter how much experience you had if you did not have a Bachelor of Science degree.
Which, if you have any experience whatsoever in the workforce, a college degree is great for essentially setting yourself up to be able to learn how to learn.
Yeah.
But once you have experience, once you've got beyond that initial round, if you're successful without the degree, it doesn't matter anymore. There are certain things that a well-rounded degree afford you, experiences, but I don't think it's 100% necessary to be successful, and it certainly shouldn't be treated as a gate or qualifications to be some kind of pariah if you haven't.
And yet, that's how it is. I changed my life by going back and getting my 4-year degree. I mean, I've got to tell you, I'm a big fan of education, so I don't want to whine about it, because I used to whine about it before. I've talked to you before about how I'm not a big fan of whining. And I used to do it. I used to sit there and complain about the workforce and how it's stacked against you. If you have the simple solution is take control of your own destiny. I went back to school, and it wasn't easy working full-time, raising children. My wife jokes, every time we had a kid, I went back to school. And once I got the 4-year degree, it removed a lot of hurdles and completely changed my life after that. So, that's one of the reasons why I'm not a big fan of whining, is because only you have the power to change your life. And that's all I'll say about my soapbox. But that was the one parallel I had to this show, is that, people can be that petty. Oh, you're only a 4.2 or you're a 4.8. And so that part, I thought Facebook morphing into that future was kind of dark, and it was so refreshing when we finally met somebody in the episode who no longer was buying into the system.
Well, and even she, who was on this downward spiral, this nosedive, looked at this person and saw that rating that she had of 1.4 or something like that, or 1.8, and walking down the side of the road, down the side of the highway, in like broken high heels, pulling a thing with miles to go before she gets there, almost turned down a ride from this woman because of the rating system, because of that preconceived notion of what that meant.
This woman who was the president on the show 24, the female president with Jack Bauer.
So one other interaction before we get to the Trekker. I kind of chuckled a little bit with the rent-a-car guy.
Yeah.
Where she goes, and he gives her 1 star or like a 3 star or something like that, and he goes, she's like, what? A 1 star? And he's like, I didn't think the interaction was meaningful.
Yeah.
And it was almost like, because she's out of this little, in the know walled garden, high performance area that she's in, where she's trying to get to or whatever, into these mid to high 4, lifestyle thing. She kind of lost this whole interaction. She alienates herself from her brother there before she goes, and she's got this fake interaction all over the place where everyone is just terrible to each other. And then this interaction, it kind of came off as, yeah, you're being completely fake, and this guy is out on the edge away from some of that, and maybe he doesn't have the highest score, but all of his interactions are just normal. He's like, we had a meeting conversation, and sure, I'll rate that. Or, you posted something funny and I rated that. But not just these almost, instead of tipping, ways that they were doing it in the high society area.
Yeah. It's obligatory 4s or 5s. And
right.
That guy was sort of the first real person that you came across who didn't. But the other thing I noticed was I started thinking, well, why doesn't she stop rating other people first? Because then you lose power over them. Because I always think about that when I buy things off eBay. I'm like, if you buy something from somebody and you immediately, it arrives and you give them 5 stars or whatever before you find out if the thing works, you've lost all your power in the negotiation with the person.
Right.
So once she gives somebody a 5 star and they give her a 1 star, there's nothing she can do.
Yeah, it was a little strange that way. The whole, as they get into the system further, the airport, gating her based on her score, and then using the score as a punishment for bad behavior, the temporary score and double damage, but then having that score tied to other things. The rental car, she can't get a decent rental car that accepts current technology for charging without a high enough score, was kind of crazy. They went a little too overboard with some of that, and I guess that's the what if you don't think about this, what are the consequences? It seems great when you're in that high upper 4, mid 4 range that everyone's going back and forth and using this rating. Well, I have a 4.2. Why doesn't everyone else have a 4.2? Life could be great for them too. They just need to be more like me.
I see a precedent for that behavior, though. I remember back when it's something the federal government does to states when they want the states to do something, like when they raise the drinking age. And so the states that didn't want to raise the drinking age, they went, well, we'll take away all your Department of Transportation funding for this year. It'll cost you $12 million if you don't lower your drink. So that's kind of what that reminded me of when we got to that scene, is if you have something to hang over somebody's head that they want, they can choose not to participate. They can choose not to get the goodies. They'll live without them if they have to, but they really want the goodies. They really want that $12 million or $20 million of money. So, okay, we'll lower our drinking age or raise our drinking age, or lower the speed limit or, whatever it is.
It was like a combination of credit score and just reliability they were using it as, instead of just what it was, which was this superficial social thing, which was skewed towards, fake people and people that had a circle of friends that would just constantly upvote them.
Yeah. Credit rating. That's a very good analogy. It's a very good parallel there. It is a lot like credit rating.
And that's what they're trying to do, except that credit ratings based on your performance to actually pay things back. And this was just meaning social interactions.
Yeah.
But I mean, all the Black Mirror things tend to do this. They take this what if thing and then they push it out to the extreme until it bends or breaks. I don't know if you've watched all of the seasons up until now, or if you skipped to season 3.
I skipped right to season 3.
So one that you should go back and watch for sure, and that had some of this feel to it, is I think it's called White Christmas or whatever, the last episode before this one. That one's really good, and it has some of the same kind of feel. They use some of the similar tech. They've got cameras in their eyes, and they can essentially, this one, instead of using social rating, they allow you to block somebody. And so when somebody blocks you, all you see is this fuzzy outline of them. You can't hear them, you can't talk to them, you can't see them. And I won't spoil the episode, but it's very central to the entire thing. It's really good. And then the ending it's very, very hard. So we kind of derailed and went a couple of different directions.
We did.
Trucker, who I wasn't sure if she was playing her, if she was gonna murder her on the side of the road, and and the moral of the story was, yep, I guess a 1.8 really is bad people.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It could have gone a lot of ways with that.
Yeah. But I thought it was nice that she actually took care of her and that she was trying to help, and she was giving her good advice that, the whole rating thing, it's stupid. Just don't pay attention to it. You'll be happier. But she's so wrapped up that she has to go and give this speech anyway. She's going to be the maid of honor or whatever at this fake friend's wedding, who was a high 4. And so it was going to push her social rating, through the roof.
Yeah.
But yeah.
The only thing I saw that would be good about a system like that is what we talked about before with Facebook, where people are always nasty to each other. Could you imagine if there really was some sort of a negative consequence of people being nasty to each other and posting nasty things and saying that, if they'll just, vote you down and then you can't go get a nice rental car. You can. That's the only thing I can think of.
I don't know that I would want that. I would like for people to be a little more responsible for the things that they say online, but I don't think it should have that kind of far-reaching impact. I think it should just, rate you down in whatever social network you're in, and maybe your stuff doesn't pop as high up in the list, or it's automatically hidden if you filter people below a certain rating or whatever, and so they just don't have the impact that they had before. And maybe that decays over time or whatever. But yeah. I think there are definitely better ways. So what do you think about the speech there at the end? So the two things I want to talk about before we move on to the next topic, because we were going really long on this, the speech, and then the very, very end, her interaction with the guy in the cell across from her.
So the speech I liked. Okay, it left me a little unsatisfied. I like the fact that she, kind of gave it to him both barrels, but then she kept trying to work her original speech back in there, but she just didn't have the heart. I kind of like the one thing that they left out, I wish they had done, would be, because it was such a catastrophe at the wedding, I would like to have them ended on people rating the wedding really low, dragging her friend's score down some. Would have been a little more satisfying. But
yeah. But so that's not how that plays out, though, right? You know,
Yeah.
high school cliques, you know, which is, you know, similar to how this thing works. You know, they see something like that, they're, you know, oh my God, you know, did you see, you know, such and such? They just completely and totally, you know, wreck themselves at this party or whatever. And it almost pushes them together tighter.
Yeah, that's true. It's sort of the scene reminded me a little bit of Carrie, only she didn't get to burn everybody up and burn the place down, but she did.
That scene was so uncomfortable. I felt so bad for her. But I mean, by that point, by the time she left the car at the charging station, I was practically yelling at the screen to just go home. You know, the whole time. Uh, and then, you know, when she didn't do it, you know, it was just a down, you know, downhill spiral from there. And you know, it wasn't going to end well. But it did seem to have a more positive ending than a lot of Black Mirror episodes do. So she crashes. She completely crashes. You know, as far as you can go down. You know, she goes a little psycho at the wedding. She threatens her poor Mr. Rags to cut his head off.
Yeah.
Which was kind of sad and hilarious at the same time. And then they take her in and they take the little lenses out of her eyes so she can no longer see people's social ratings anymore. And then her interaction with the guy across from her cell was perfect. It was catharsis. It was a moment where she just let out all of the things that she suppresses on a daily basis. And this was the other sort of theme that I picked up on, that people have to have some way to vent. You can't be this fake nice all the time because people aren't that way. And so she just rips this guy to shreds. You look like you want to say something, and
I'm that way. I'm that way. I'll give you a 5-star for that comment.
Yeah. And then he rips back into her, and it's just, it's perfect. You see her, she's just spitting all this hate, but it's not really that hate. It's this blossoming joy inside of her when she realizes that there's nothing he can do about that, and that he knows that there's nothing that she can do about that. And it's almost this animal lust between the two of them at that point, because they're just like, we're completely and totally free. None of these people realize it. You're amazing.
Yeah, it's a good thing there was 2 panes of glass between them, where they would have started ripping each other's clothes off and going at it right there. I think they were having a moment.
They were totally having a moment in there. So, yeah. The episode was spot on. I loved it. But, you know, I love almost every one of the episodes. That first one was still the most uncomfortable one. Maybe if you haven't seen it and you are going to see it, maybe skip over the Prime Minister and the pig thing.
Yeah.
This.
So, do you want to segue into Westworld or leave that for the end? Because what you just said reminded me of that, the uncomfortableness.
What happened in what? Oh, the whole
4-minute orgy.
Oh, that was.
It was. I cannot believe that that's what people were complaining about.
That was relatively tame, especially for HBO. That was way worse that I've seen in Game of Thrones, and everyone raves about that on a regular basis.
Yeah. And they're complaining about the orgy, which didn't really show anything. Meanwhile, Tandy Newton was on the slab naked for like 10 minutes, and nobody complained about that.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. But whatever. And yeah. So I don't know that we want to talk about the whole Westworld thing. If you want to talk about anything else about that, maybe we wait until the end, because we are starting to go long again.
Oh, all right.
All right. So next thing we had Uwe Boll.
Is that how you say that? Uwe Boll?
Yes. So he's a filmmaker who takes video games and adapts them into film, and Maybe there are people that he has that follow him that love his work. I think he's terrible, and I'm not sure how he gets the people that star in his films to actually star in his films. You know, knowing what he's done before, but he announced his retirement, and I couldn't be happier. I'm glad that he's no longer making
surprised
out of video game movies. And
why would he retire? There's still new games coming out. He could do Star Citizen.
Well, that's the thing. I like video games and I like movies, and I would like video game movies to get better over time. And I think he was just bringing the whole thing down. Video games have a chance to really tell stories and be interactive the way that movies can't. And I know that, you know, traditionally video games haven't been seen as a higher art form. It's been lesser, but I think critics are a little bit wrong on that. And then trying to bridge the two of them, there hasn't been a lot of success. You know, there are definitely cult classics, the whole Resident Evil series, for example.
Have you seen Hitman and Hitman 2?
I saw one of them, and it was okay. The first one, I guess.
Yeah. I really liked the first one. I thought it was a very good movie, and I particularly liked the way that oh wow, I'm totally blanking on the guy from Justified who played the actor in that one, who played the hitman, but he had the movements of the character walking down the hall down perfect. Are you looking it up for me to try to save the day?
Yeah, yeah. It was
Timothy Oliphant.
Yeah, Timothy Oliphant.
I'm a big Timothy Oliphant fan, and he was perfect because his walking down the hall looked just like the character in Hitman when he would walk down the halls. And the second one was even better. I thought it was a better movie. I thought the second one was very good. I was surprised. We rented it, watched it. It was good, and I'm like, wow, I almost wouldn't believe that this is a video game movie. So, yes, you can make a good video game movie.
Well, and you can almost argue that movies like Fast and the Furious, even though they're not based on video games, are more video game-like than movie-like. They're just, you know, dumb action flicks. And you can have a deep, intricate video game, and you can have a shallow, fun, stupid action movie, and it's okay. We can do both. And I'm just glad that Uwe Boll, who was not good at bringing anything good out of any of his movies, is no longer attempting to do so.
Although I did enjoy House of the Dead. It was made in 2003. I enjoyed it. And, you know, there's a connection back to Black Mirror because Clint Howard is Bryce Dallas Howard's uncle. So that's Ron Howard's brother, and he was one of the stars of that. But I remember seeing that and going, up until there's a part of the movie where they start killing the zombies and they go video mode and they start racking up points while they're killing zombies. And I was like, just like they did something similar in the movie Doom. And that's when it kind of broke from, that's the first point at which I realized it was coming from a video game. I had no idea in the movie. I thought it was just another zombie flick until they started breaking out the characters and giving them scores. And then, nope.
I'm sure you've seen the video games. They've got them in, you know, they used to have them a lot in the lobbies of like movie theaters.
Are they the ones with the real pistols that you pull out and you're
real pistols and you pull out and you shoot them and it's zombies attacking, and they're crappy games, and why anyone would try and make a movie out of them? You know, they're designed to take your money. That's what the games are, and so was the film.
So was the film.
Take your money and not really give you anything of substance.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely not substance. But you know, so he's hanging it up. I saw Far Cry. That's another one that I've seen. So I've seen two of his movies, and Far Cry again was it was a movie. You know, I didn't turn it off. I did watch it till the very end. But yeah, not an incredible work of art. No.
All right. Well, let's move on.
Yeah.
To something that's hopefully a little bit better, Wonder Woman. So we listed the new trailer for Wonder Woman here, and you had a chance to see that recently. Why don't you talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, they played that today. It's one of the trailers at the Doctor Strange movie, And so I got to see that up on the big screen instead of my little monitors. I have a feeling, I don't know who's directing this movie, but I kind of have the feeling that this could be so much better than Batman versus Superman. It just looks really good. I completely buy her as Wonder Woman.
Well, what they need is the Iron Man moment. They never have had that Iron Man moment where they have this tremendous actor who comes in and just owns the role and makes you want to know more about the universe. Instead, what they've tried to do is force a bunch of people together and then call that a cinematic universe, and it hasn't been working so far.
No, Warner Brothers has kind of been dropping the ball quite a. It's funny how much better, we've talked about it before, how much better the CW is at creating a cinematic universe for DC Comics than they've been able to do up on the big screen. So it looks very promising. I can't wait to go with my daughter, who is a huge Wonder Woman fan. She always has been. She's kind of geeky, my oldest daughter. And we were just talking about going down for her 21st birthday to college where she's at and going to see a movie and dinner. And if this movie would just come out by then, it would be perfect birthday gift for her. But it looks very, very well thought out and very well done. Although it is a period piece like Captain America, and a lot of times those can be hit or miss.
Well, I'll be happy to see it do well. I'll be happy to see DC finally put together a good movie in the franchise and maybe build off of that, strong characters. And also, having a movie with a strong female lead, although they made sure that it wasn't just about her, whatever.
By putting Captain Kirk in it.
Yeah. She's my secretary. She's very good at her job. Directly from the trailer. But whatever. She looks like she's kicking all kinds of ass, and she looks like she's made for the part. Hopefully she's got enough personality to carry things in on the movie. All I've seen her do so far is scowl and fight bad guys. So it needs to be a little more than that. It needs to be a little more than dumb action. Otherwise, you've just got Uwe Boll directing it.
The action sequences I've seen look in the trailer today, they looked fantastic. So I have high hopes for that.
Yeah, well, I just hope that it's going to be a better movie than just, a popcorn action flick.
And it looks like it has a good amount of comedy too. Her sort of British friend at the end, who's like she can kick a little ass too. It kind of made me chuckle. So maybe they could turn it into like a buddy movie. Those always seem to work.
Right.
That was one of the things I liked so much about Agent Carter, the short-lived spin-off TV show.
And I loved her in that show. I loved her in the original movie, the Captain America movie. I thought she was perfect. She had, just the right amount of attitude, and, she was always, very vibrant on screen. And then I loved the show too. The second season wasn't as good as the first. But, I was still enjoying it. I was going to watch a third season if it came out. It was holding my attention slightly better than Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was.
Yeah, I'm way behind on that. I'm 6 episodes behind. I found out tonight that I was 6 episodes behind on Gotham. So I managed to get one of those in today before we went to the movies. And, we taped them all on the DVR. And I had episodes 1 through 6. But episode 4 was the one that I was on, and it was missing. So my daughter at college has our account also and is deleting the shows before I get a chance to watch them. So I was a little annoyed by having to watch it on demand and watch all the commercials. But this is one of the first times I can say advertising actually worked, because I was forced to watch a Doctor Strange commercial, and I went, oh, yeah, that's coming out today. Let's go see that. And we actually went to see the movie based off the commercial from Gotham. So maybe advertising pays.
There you go. Advertising. It works.
Which reminds me, if there are any potential advertisers out there, we're looking for advertising.
Sure, we'd take money. I wouldn't throw it away.
Or one viewer might be prone to buying something. Unfortunately, I have a feel our one viewer would be buying whatever they're buying with my money, so,
Or mine.
or yours.
I think we might have 2 viewers at this point.
Uh,
So yeah, let's move on. I do hope that Wonder Woman's good, but um, so a couple of things came up over the last 2 weeks regarding the PlayStation 4. Sony announced that they are allowing fully supported third-party controllers, which isn't something that they've ever allowed before, and they're supposed to be more pro focused gaming controllers. So a little bit different shape. Both of them actually kind of look like Xbox controllers.
is this for the PlayStation?
Yeah, it's for the PlayStation.
PlayStation.
PlayStation. But yeah, so they've got 2 controllers made by. Let me see if I can pull up the names here. Looks like Razer's doing one of them, so they're big in the PC gaming.
My son's a huge Razer fan.
I had a bad experience early on with a Razer.
I can see that.
Yes, I had a bad experience, and I've never gone back. Maybe I went through 2 sets of headphones from them, and they both broke within like a week. And then I finally just took them back, got my money back, and then bought something else. I think it was ended up getting Logitech, which I've had a lot better luck with having quality products. The Razors, yeah, they were really nice, but yeah, 2 of them in a week. That's a big no-no for me.
Yeah, my son is a Razer fan, but I noticed he just got a Logitech, this bright white headphone set that he got for his gaming and that he does for being able to talk. It's a headphone with the microphone and everything, headset, and seems really happy with it. Looks pretty sharp.
Yeah, I've never gone wrong with a Logitech product. In the many years that I've been gaming, even way back to the old controllers. I remember the flight stick I had back when I was playing. Was it like the battle mech type games? Was a Logitech brand one, and and before Xbox started providing support for PC play with the Xbox controllers, I had a Logitech gamepad for that as well, and that's what I used for everything. It was supported really well. It's always been rock solid. Unless I abused it, I didn't have any problems.
I've got a Logitech joystick around here somewhere. I've been meaning to plug into the computer and try with Star Citizen next time I try it. So it's good that Sony's going to let third-party controllers in there. I think that's good. That's one of the reasons I bought the PlayStation instead of the Xbox One, was because they would also allow you to replace the hard drive. I like that. Don't be so proprietary over your equipment and so protective. Don't be Apple.
Right, and it seems like they're loosening things up a little bit. The other article that we didn't list at the top was that they're allowing driver support, a lot better driver support than they've done in the past. I mean, Xbox has had a pretty solid market, at least in my opinion, for the controllers. You could download drivers for the Sony PlayStation controller, but it was always kind of a hack to get it to work, and none of the games supported it out of the box. Steam recently announced that they were going to natively support PlayStation 4 controllers, and they would map to the PlayStation 4 buttons and display those in game instead of the Xbox buttons if you had one of those plugged in instead of the Xbox controller. So I thought that was kind of cool. So hopefully that's just another sign that Sony's continuing to look at just gaming on the whole and open up and embrace it.
Yeah, I have no complaints about my my PlayStation so far. I've been really happy with it. Before that, I was all Xbox, but it's my first try with it. I'm glad to see that they're going to let some third-party controllers in. Maybe I'll give a try, because the one complaint I have about the Sony, although my son actually prefers it, over the Xbox, because we have both. We have an Xbox 360 in there, and we have the PlayStation. And his complaint about the Xbox is we have battery packs that you charge, but they don't last very long, and you unplug them and you plug them in and recharge them. So we're constantly swapping out the batteries, whereas the controller that you have with the PlayStation, the battery's internal to it, so you're charging the controller itself. The one thing I've noticed about that is over time, they don't hold a charge quite as well. So once that gets to the point where it doesn't hold a charge at all, you either have a corded controller, which is fine, or you have to buy a whole new controller because the battery's shot.
Yeah, so, and we've kind of got around that in our house. We've got 2 controllers, on the off chance that we played something that allowed couch co-op, which sadly for me and my son and everyone else in the household to a lesser extent, there aren't a lot of games that support couch co-op anymore. We sat down to play a few games, just anything, any shooters, anything like that. And I was, well, does it have couch co-op? I'd like to play with you. Maybe we could stream it on the PlayStation. And no, it doesn't. You have to have a second PlayStation and a second TV set up in order to really play. And that's bullshit.
Yeah, we went through a period of time where my wife and I were playing games together. We played Rainbow Six games, and they had the co-op mode. And I think theirs was split screen side by side, which I prefer over I think Army of Two and Gears of War both, I believe, were over under splits.
Well, these days with the TVs, the way they're set up, that would be very awkward.
Yeah, well, that's actually the way that that Call of Duty. Whenever we play the zombie part of Call of Duty, my son and I will play co-op, and that is also top and bottom, and you don't have a whole lot of real estate there to look up and down, and but then you're just killing zombies, so
it probably doesn't matter that much.
Yeah.
So that was all that we had on the list. We had a couple of other things that that we've kind of hinted at a little bit. You kind of mentioned Westworld. If you wanted to talk a little bit about that episode, we could. Now that our third host, Tim, life caught up with him, and he's going to be out away from us for a little while, dealing with work and whatnot. So now that he's not around to say he hasn't watched it or whatever, and we can just spoil it for the nobody that watches this. If you wanted to talk about that, we could. The other 2 things that we kind of had on here, the Dishonored 2 trailer, and then I watched BlizzCon this weekend. I could talk a little bit about the things that have come out of that. But we don't have to do any of that. If you're tired, if you want to cut it off, we can.
Well, I did have something else I wanted to say about Westworld, something I was thinking about earlier in the week when I was driving into work. It has to do with Anthony Hopkins and how some people just have the it factor, where when they're on the screen, you hang on every word they say. And Anthony Hopkins is one of those people. And I'm not sure if it was this week's episode or the week before, where the lady comes to visit him at the chateau, at the winery. And
last week.
Was that last week's?
Yeah. And then this week was he meets the Man in Black.
Yes. Yeah. So those 2 scenes, both of them, what I see emerging for his character that is so great, in particular the one where he's meeting with the company lady, and he instantly shows her how he has complete control over the park and can freeze everybody and everything on a whim, which told me the difference between him and his friend Arnold. Was it Arnold? I think it's Arnold.
Yeah.
Is Anthony Hopkins has a God complex. That's why he loves the park. He is God in that park, and that is why he loves that park. And he's never going to let that corporation take that park from him. And that's one of the things I thought was interesting about when he went to meet with the other guy, because that guy, too, has a little bit of a God complex. So when the 2 of them were in a room together, Ed Harris and Anthony Hopkins, it was very interesting, a battle of wills there.
Well, I think that Anthony Hopkins kind of had the upper hand, as you see with James Marsden stepping up to keep him safe.
Yeah, yeah, that was again him exerting his like, and I don't know how he does it because it doesn't look like he's using any kind of controller or anything, but everybody in the park obeys his whims. So,
Well, so that brings up a couple of questions. Tinfoil hat theories. I'm just going to put it out there. Maybe he's not entirely human anymore, or human at all. Anthony Hopkins. And then the other thing that I had. Oh God, I had it and then I lost it. I think it was something about just well, it's either that or he's got it programmed to where he's three laws of robotics are thou shall not hurt the creator, thou shall not through inaction cause any harm to the creator, whatever.
right. That's an interesting point you brought up. I hadn't even thought about what if he is part android at least, or what if he has had his mind uploaded into an android body.
And maybe they both tried to do it and his friends stopped him, or he killed him whenever his friend tried to stop him or something. So there are a lot of weird things that could go on there.
I just got a weird Firefox message pop up on the computer saying that the plugin has stopped responding. So kind of distracting. It's flashing over there. That's why I switched to Chrome on that computer. I haven't had that problem with the Google Doc thing since I switched over to Chrome.
So that was the other thing I wanted to talk about, or the other tinfoil hat theory. That was now you just talked about Chrome and you just pushed it out again. Damn it!
Sorry.
Oh yeah, it was the loss of control. So, to him, maybe this whole fly thing, this whole loss of control thing, is finally a danger to him. Maybe it's Arnold trying to get back at him. If Arnold has also been uploaded in some form or another, maybe his body is dead, but he is still alive and kicking and still trying to get the androids to have free artificial intelligence, free will, and all that. And
there are no strings on me.
Exactly. Maybe to borrow a theme.
Well, I was thinking actually then Arnold would be Jarvis becoming the Vision, and that makes Anthony Hopkins Ultron.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a matter of perspective. But maybe they're both Ultron.
Yeah, it's. I enjoyed the show. Obviously, it's interesting. It's a lot. It's not the show I thought I was getting. It is much more introspective and thoughtful and thought-provoking of a show than the show I thought I was getting. I thought I was getting a sci-fi romp, kind of like the movie The Island or something like that.
Or that movie where it was the name of some guy. He goes to Mars. Kind of.
Not Total Recall.
Not Total Recall. I'm terrible at names. It came out like 5 or 10 years ago. It's based on like old pulpy sci-fi stuff from long time ago.
John Carter's Man from Mars.
Yeah. It's
Edgar Rice Burroughs wrote that.
Yes.
Same guy that wrote Tarzan.
Yeah, interesting stuff. Yeah. It was that was a little bit of the adventure kind of romp that I was expecting. You're thrust into this alternate world, and then just fantastical things unfold around you. And there's been a little bit of that, I guess. But Westworld has been. It makes me think more about gaming and how gaming could potentially evolve to the next level. Westworld being just, that next level, or 10 levels from now.
It's the ultimate video game.
Yeah, it is. And when I'm thinking about the interactions of all of the guests, I'm thinking about them in terms of video game players.
Oh yeah.
The guy that just wants to go in and shoot things because he's bored with he doesn't want to read the quest text. He just wants to go shoot things with one gun or another.
That was kind of me in Fallout 4, the first 5 to 10 levels or so. I did a couple of quests, but I kind of just wanted to roam around. Now I'm questing. Quest. I'm leveling up rapidly because I'm knocking out all the quests, but I don't know what kind of guy I would be in Westworld, what I would want to do. I don't know if I'd be a black hat guy or a white hat guy. I just don't know.
I think I would be white hat.
I'd like to think I'd be ruthless black hat killer, but I just don't think it's in my nature. I'm just too swell a guy. 5 hearts. Uh-oh.
What?
Oh, did you give me 5 hearts?
Yeah, I was giving you 5 hearts.
Nice. I'm a 1.5.
1 heart.
Yeah.
I just didn't think it was a meaningful interaction.
It wasn't meaningful. Can you imagine if she got loose in Westworld running around doing that with all the Westerners? Crossing the streams. Yeah. Don't cross the streams. Which reminds me, you said you saw Ghostbusters, and just really quick, you liked it? It was entertaining?
So I thought it was entertaining. It definitely was not the first movie. I didn't think it was quite as good as the first movie. There were some things that felt a little flat. Some of the jokes or the humor that I didn't appreciate as much. I didn't think it was a bad movie. I don't think that it deserved the amount of hate that people were dumping on it because they ruined somebody's childhood, dreams that they're going to make Ghostbusters 3, which is really the problem. And one of the nice things, I don't really think it's a spoiler, but all of the cast members from the original Ghostbusters, minus Harold Ramis, all made a guest appearance in there. And the way they did it, you could almost see this universe being 30 years ago, the original Ghostbusters happened. And then, the world has moved on. And then this is just, what happens 30 years later. It's different people. And people have gone back to disbelieving in ghosts and all that kind of stuff.
So here's the one question I have. All right. I'm watching the house behind you. If I start to see shit levitating around in the room, who are you going to call? Would you feel comfortable calling them? Or are you calling somebody else?
I don't know who I would call. I'd call a priest. I mean,
I need an old priest and a young priest.
Although I'm not Catholic, so I don't know how that would work. I'd be like, look, I'm willing to convert if you'll come in and take care of this shit.
Sprinkle some holy water around, see if Hail Marys it all work out.
Yeah. So, no, they almost seemed a little more competent than the original guys from the first movie.
That was part of the guys' charm in the first movie, is that they were completely incompetent.
So there's some of that. The Egon type character who invents all of their tech for them has absolutely no regards for personal safety at all, and she's just weird and uncomfortable. Way more uncomfortable than Egon was in the original movies. Although he had his certain charm. As much as I dislike Ghostbusters 2, and it was a terrible movie. The one favorite part that I have is when they finally get their proton packs back, and they fire them up one after the other, and the first guy goes "Do," and Ray says "Ray," and Egon fires up and he goes "Egon." It was that kind of slapstick, weird humor that I really loved about those movies. And I think they definitely gave nods to that kind of stuff, but they tried to make it their own. And I think for the most part they succeeded. Hemsworth was kind of ridiculous, and he had some parts that were funny, and then most of it was just most of him being in the movie was stupid. He was a complete and total idiot, but they kept him around because one of them thought he was hot.
Thor.
Yeah, Thor.
You know, I don't know if you've seen the Vacation movie.
I have.
He steals the movie.
Picture that guy, but just stupid, completely and totally stupid, like 65 IQ.
Well, that guy, he stole that movie. My wife laughed so hard. I won't get us off track again. I realize it's getting late, but I'm going to go out and I'm going to rent Ghostbusters and see it this weekend because I'm a big Kristen Wiig fan, big fan of all of the ladies in that movie, and I wasn't a huge fan of the first movie. To me, it was just another movie. I went and saw it. I laughed. It wasn't any different than Back to the Future or any of the other movies coming around in that era. It didn't change my life. I enjoyed it, but
so I definitely love the first movie, and there were the whole Rick Moranis, the whole Gozer and the gatekeeper and the keymaster thing was hilarious. And then at the very end, Ray, what did you do? I thought of the most harmless thing ever. The Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. That's hilarious. Those kinds of things just really get me. And we watched it with the kids last year or the year before, and there are definitely things that don't hold up quite as well anymore. But I still love the movie. I forgive it all its faults, and I forgave this movie for its faults as well. I hope they make another one. I don't know if they will, but I'd like to see them try it again.
The only joke I remember from the first one that really stuck out that I remembered all these years that made me laugh a lot, because my blue humor, is when they go, we had everything going fine until Dickless here showed up. And the other guy goes, is this true? And Bill Murray goes, yes, it's true. This man has no dick.
Yeah.
That was my favorite joke in the original movie. So
that guy showed up in the movie. Yeah, Bill Murray was there. All the original characters, even the secretary, she was in there.
Oh, that's good. See, I like when they do things like that. Like this week I watched The Flash, and they had somebody on there from another CW. Oh, Dina Meyer. I mentioned that. Dina Meyer was on there, and Dina Meyer was on the show Birds of Prey, which was one of the first superhero type things they did on the CW, where she played Batgirl after she'd been shot and was in a wheelchair. She played Oracle. And so she was on The Flash this week, and I love the fact that the CW brings people back from the past, from past shows, and sort of pays homage to them. So I like that. I hate it when a show won't let somebody on. Like I think the Batman movie, I think Adam West wanted to do just a cameo or something in one of the recent Batman movies, and they've all been like, no, we're not letting them do it.
Yeah, see, that's terrible. I mean, the whole Stan Lee, part of the charm, people go into those movies expecting a couple of things. They expect to see something at the end of the credits that teases them to go see another movie, maybe two somethings.
Now.
And they expect to see Stan Lee somewhere in the movie, and possibly some other character, like when Lou Ferrigno shows up in the Hulk.
Yeah. I always say this, but one of these days I'm going to hold up my picture of our family with Stan Lee that we got from the Comic-Con in Baltimore, because I use that as my Google picture, and you can see just a corner of Stan Lee's head in my Google picture, and that makes me so happy every time I sit there, and I kind of giggle because I'm like, that's Stan Lee's head at the bottom of my picture. And it's not photoshopped in there. That's his head. So yeah, I got to see the movie today. We'll talk about it next week when you go see it next week. So that's a little teaser for next week, that we'll talk about Doctor Strange next week.
Yeah, hopefully I'll see it by next weekend. I know it's something my son and I want to go see. So, yeah.
And maybe we can talk about Walking Dead finally. You mentioned since Tim isn't making it, that's the reason we don't talk about The Walking Dead, is because he's trying to catch up. It would be spoilers. So we can give a spoiler warning next week and maybe do a little talking about The Walking Dead.
Yeah. if we keep doing these, we may have to spin them out as their own thing. Talk for 15 or 20 minutes just on some random day, just about whatever episode we watched.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I know we tend to ramble on. I've rambled on for almost an hour and a half now. So,
yeah, we should probably cut it off. I could extend it to 2.5 hours if we want to talk about BlizzCon, but I won't. So why don't we call it a wrap there? So had fun. Hope whoever is watching this enjoyed it.
I've had a good time, and I'm sorry about last week. That was all on me. Bad communication on my part. A total dick move to leave you two hanging, waiting for me, and I'm sorry about that.
That's how the sausage is made, and nobody cares about that. You're forgiven. Not a big deal. All right, so I'm Mitch.
And I'm Todd.
And we are the Grizzled Geeks. Thank you.